Okay, so I am trying to arm wrestle a little bit with two opposing viewpoints on this 50-year mortgage, and I'm trying to, in my own mind, harmonize that. So what I've done is I've just kind of bullet pointed out some points on opposing sides. So obviously for me as a financial coach and as a former Dave Ramsey guy, my knee-jerk reaction to this is that it's absolutely preposterous, and I still sort of fundamentally think that it is. However, as an adherent to the FIRE movement and as a Bitcoiner, and by the way, if you're new to my channel, I'm on a mission to sort of harmonize personal finance, the FIRE movement, and Bitcoiners. YouTube's telling me that my viewers are somewhere in their age range of 25 to 55, are wealth building enthusiasts and the like. So what I'm trying to do here is I want to outline what I hate about it and then what I'm sort of considering. And this is based on a video that Adam Livingston put out. I'll leave a link in that in the description below. Really outlines some really, depending on your mindset, depending on your belief in Bitcoin and those kinds of things, kind of a good argument for why this is a great idea for some people, probably a very small percentage of us. But what I hate about it is, it's middle class financial Armageddon. Anybody that, that's a sort of a normal middle class, doesn't have their finances together, which is the vast majority of the United States. I think this is absolutely a terrible idea. The potential effect on housing prices, as I understand it currently, is that it could actually cause the real estate bubble or the real estate prices to just continue to go through the roof, which is horrible for affordability. When you look at a 30-year mortgage vis-a-vis a 50-year mortgage, it's basically sort of like unending debt for the middle class. Massive profits for the banksters, I should say, because they don't do anything that's not in their own best interest. And I will say it's a bad idea for most of the middle class, as I was kind of talking about a minute ago, because the middle class usually, when they're going to buy a home, they're really focused on that monthly payment rather than the entirety of what they don't really know. They don't have a concept that for a $500,000 house, the course of 30 years, they're with interest, they're paying almost $1 million for that house. So they're not thinking in those terms. They're thinking more on a monthly basis. So they're not thinking of carry costs like rising property taxes, just overall repairs and maintenance like HVAC, roof, and during a 50-year cycle, which it seems like nobody really holds on to a home for that long, man, you're going to be you're going to be massively upside down looking at this from a more traditional standpoint. So the second piece of this is, what I'm considering. Okay, what are some of the potential merits for the 50-year mortgage? And again, Adam Livingston is sort of proposing this as kind of a leveraged short against the U.S. dollar. It took me a couple of times of watching his video to kind of wrap my mind around it, and I don't know that I have this all figured out. So if there's anything that I'm missing, please let me know in the comments below, and this kind of work through this, as a community together. He's advocating for the difference or the delta between the monthly payment, and I'll get into the details of this in a minute, between the monthly payment on a 30-year mortgage and a monthly payment on a 50-year mortgage, the difference between that. So you're going to typically save, on a $500,000 mortgage, $300 to $400 a month. He's arguing to dollar cost average that into Bitcoin or MicroStrategy or, some sort of Bitcoin adjacent, investment. And then also he's advocating, in the video to make sure that you wait for lower rates. And he goes through a lot more detail than I'm going to in this video. But just, sort of his executive summary is the goal is to turn your roof into a leveraged short on the U.S. dollar, as I mentioned a minute ago. So a 50-year mortgage drops the payment on a $500,000 house from about $3,000 a month to a little over $2,600 per month. That monthly delta, as I was mentioning a minute ago, is then rerouted into Bitcoin and MSTR or some sort of Bitcoin adjacent to compound your wealth. Now he's arguing for a very conservative compound annual growth rate, a CAGR. That's, I think, I just actually I typed that into AI. I didn't actually see it's not giving it to me in English really. So, but I believe it's around 50% per year. So he's arguing that MSTR historically triples Bitcoin on multi-cycle horizons, pushing the 50-year final stack to 434 million with a mere doubling. Extra interest the bank collects is 500,000. He's arguing this is lunch money compared to the 9-figure upside. So the way that this sort of looks is that on the 30-year mortgage, your monthly payment, and then your total interest, your monthly payment, and then your total interest is about 580, and then at 50 years, your monthly payment is about $2,600 per month, with your overall interest being $1,079,000, plus the price of the actual house. So, again, if you're looking at this through more of a traditional lens, it's like, no, man, this is ridiculous. It's stupid. However, what he's looking at in terms of the compound annual growth rate, he does the comparison between the 10%, which the future value is going to be basically $750,000, internal rate of return of 17.3. 30 years where it really starts to pick up, that's 20% at a 5.65 million future value of deploying that delta into the Bitcoin payment. And then the 50-year is potentially 5.3. And then the 50-year mortgage, like basically what he's advocating for at a 20% CAGR is 217.4 million. And then at the 30% CAGR over the next 50 years is 8.24 billion. So it seems, I think I need to jump into a better understanding. I need to keep going through this, but I wanted to kind of put this together for us as a community just to kind of start fleshing it out. I would love to know what you guys think about it. I know that there are going to be some of you that are, in the FIRE movement or just sort of, general personal finance adherents that are going to be like, dude, I would never, ever even dream of this. Whereas maybe on the Bitcoin side, or maybe the guys that are sort of in the middle of the road with the Bitcoin FIRE would actually consider this. Now, this is something, like I said, I would just dismiss this offhand. So a couple of other things that I wanted to cover real quick that I think are super, super bullish for, Bitcoin overall is two things. The banking syndicate, U.S. National banking syndicate SoFi is actually making it where you can buy, sell, and hold crypto. Bitcoin obviously would be the one that we would be focused on. But so now you've got banks getting into the game of buying, selling, and holding Bitcoin, which is really, really cool. And then obviously, a lot of you guys have already heard about this, but Square, which is a payments system, a payments network, is bringing Bitcoin to Main Street with their first integrated payment wallet solution for local businesses. So now, when you go to a merchant, like a local merchant, and you see that they use the Square app, you can ask them, hey, do you accept Bitcoin? And so if you've got Bitcoin on a hot wallet or a Lightning wallet, you'll actually be able to pay with Bitcoin. So this is another sort of nail in the coffin for the people that are saying, well, you can't really spend your Bitcoin, and Bitcoin's not really money. It's not really currency. That's, increasingly being proven to be false. So it's really cool. So that's all I have for you today. If this kind of content resonates with you, would love it if you like, subscribe, share the video, and I will see you in the next one.